Today I'll be talking about the anime The Aristocrat's Otherworldly Adventure by Studio Magic Bus and ENT². After dying a hero's death, Kazuya is reborn as the young noble Kain, and accidentally becomes the ultimate cheat character thanks to some very generous gods. He's ready to just vibe and enjoy his overpowered fantasy life, but those divine blessings come with some pretty high stakes strings attached. I'm playing the Attack on Titan tribute game while we dive into overall vibes, what I think of Kain as a character, his abilities, and more. Let's start with my first thoughts. Honestly, I think at the time I just wanted a nice chill anime just to pass the time. And what better method than just a regular Isekai, which I ended up picking up this anime in the assumption that it was a generic Isekai. And honestly, you can't say I was disappointed. I think I quite liked the show, all things considered, when I completed it. I like the art style of the show, the expressions as well, and the actual designs of the characters as well. It's very moe blob. Though the animation could do with a little work though. Like especially in the opening song. If you look at the run cycle of Kain during the refrain of the opening, I'm like, come on, I can do better than that. And again, I haven't really animated 2D. Only animated 3D myself. But I know what a good run cycle looks like. So yeah, those are my thoughts on in terms of what drew me to the show. A nice simple adventure, which is what I wanted. Another thought I had was Kain's personality. I have to say it's quite nice to see a character who is of an aristocrat background, but is kind to everyone around him. But I suppose that's due to the fact that Kain was a reincarnated individual. So he still has the mindsets of our world, compared to the stuck-up aristocrat of this new one. It's just nice to see a polite, noble kid who is overpowered yet humble. Especially that time when he spots his commoner friend bullied in the academy that one time. Seeing him stick up for her was really sweet of him, though it was kind of expected after all. In general, I kind of like this character. As well as the fact that he is really insanely mature for his age. Due to the fact that he's of course isekai'd, or reincarnation. Which is another amusing element as well. I also find that the overall vibe of the show was very lighthearted, with some heavy moments here and there. Oh. Yeah, I think 90% of the show was really chill and comfy. With not much stakes here and there, because we know Kain is bravely overpowered, that he can accomplish anything, let alone very smart as well, or blessed with smarts. Like, I love the main comedy dynamic being the misunderstandings, the overpowered energy, the want to hide their abilities, and the fact that the things that Kain does is extremely crazy for the average person. Like taking down red dragons as if they're goblins, which is something a team of Class A adventurers would struggle with some losses here and there, and seeing Kain just collect heads and heads of red dragons and earth dragons as if they were like nothing was pretty fun to see and amusing. That kind of comedy is very prevalent throughout the show, which I really enjoyed. Okay, so next the points I'll be going over now will be covering spoiler territory, so if you haven't seen the show yet, feel free to click off this video and give the show a watch, and maybe you can come back here and we can continue from there. For those who are staying, one other thought that I had was about the gods constantly or accidentally going too far with their blessings. So as you might know, when Kain goes to that church and receives a blessing from the gods, the max level people normally get is a level 5 for each blessing. Depending on the blessing or their chosen or whatever blessing they receive, the highest level is a 5. But in Kain's case, he gets a 10 in everything. And even gods themselves later on in the series say maybe that was a bit too much. And honestly, I don't mind it all that much. I started the show to see overpowered shenanigans, and seeing the blessings exaggerated to the maximum, even by their world standards, was what I was in for, really. I was all here for it. So I didn't mind the gods blessing Kain to the extreme there. If anything, it kind of added to the hilarity of the situation Kain was presented with, which I enjoyed. The tension never became about will Kain save the people he wants to protect with the abilities. Or it's more like who will be caught in the crossfire with Kain using his abilities to save whatever he wants to save. Because they're that big in abilities. So seeing that dynamic and concept played throughout the show, I look forward to it. And now in terms of the abilities Kain has and the skills that stood out to me the most, I think the first thing that is coming to my mind is that magic bag that Kain creates for those adventurers that tutored him during his younger days. Like, as a reward for them, he gave them a magic bag that can hold an entire mansion of goods. And they're also linked to the user as well, so only the person he gifted the bags to are only able to use it. Anyone who tries to pick up the bags will be dealt with the full weight of what's inside said bag. Seeing him create such an overpowered item for his friends was actually... I don't know the term for it, but it was nice to see someone be nice to someone to that extent. Because the item that Kain creates there is actually, by the adventurer's words, a national treasure level of value. Something only the king can have. Because even the regular ones, the ones that can, or I say regular, but even to the local populace, it's not even a regular bag. The bag that can hold like 2 carriages full, those are like max tier for the local populace. They're the legendary items. So what Kain created here, a bag that can hold a mansion's worth of loot. That's something of a legendary or a mythical level. So that was a nice little display of power there, which I kind of like. Dimensional storage, I think it was called. It kind of reminded me of that bag Satu has in the Death March to a Parallel World. Satu had a similar bag that can stop time in the inside, so whatever item inside it doesn't perish. I think that was one of the other properties of the bag Kain created as well. There we go. Yeah, I kind of like that aspect of Kain, being able to create overpowered items alongside just being overpowered in spells as well. But yeah, I think that's the ability that stood out the most, just his ability to craft that kind of item. Like it's nothing. Now, in terms of how I feel about the balance between noble society, politics, and adventure scenes. I quite liked how this show bounced between various environments. Because I loved how how at the start of the show it was more about Kain learning his abilities and just going out in the forest just to test it out, much to his dad's dismay, where he like nearly burns the whole forest down and summons summoning the army, who believes that a monster rampage is happening, but it's actually Kain causing the rampage with his explosions. So yeah, it's nice to see that explorative element of younger Kain at the start of the series. And then seeing him slowly transition into the noble quarters side of things, where Kain is in the presence of the king quite often, as well as other nobles. That was fun too, because I enjoyed the aspect where there was this noble who was at odds with Kain himself, and was jealous of Kain's success and endeavors. I enjoyed that aspect because it added a little bit of, I won't say comedic tension, because this character tries his hardest just to bring Kain down to his level. But because he doesn't know that Kain has the backing of the king, or is a much higher noble rank than he is, it's fun to see this character's reaction to witnessing that Kain has the power to pretty much get him executed. So it pulled for a lot of amusing moments like that, especially in the academy as well, where Kain finds himself up against this noble son in the process. Yeah, following on from the noble stuff there, or like the noble environment, I kind of like the guild stuff too. Because I did like the moment when Kain enrolled to the guild, and soon after he managed to complete an A-class quest, to which one of the guild leaders was skeptical that Kain played fairly, and almost revoked his guild license, much to Kain's dismay. But as it turns out, the head of that the guild building was actually the brother of one of the characters who was head over heels for Kain, who naturally told everything, or like relayed a lot of the information about Kain to this to them. So when they heard about this adventurer who managed to complete an A-class quest with ease despite only registering a few days, they immediately know who they were dealing with. So in general, I think this show kind of really balances out the all the aspects from learning and studying up on their abilities, the noble politics, the guild interactions. I didn't feel like it was forced or out of place at any point, which I quite liked. I'm pretty sure I rambled a bit too much there to the point I did not make any sense whatsoever. In general, I didn't feel like any of it was out of place or forced or unneeded. It was a nice little change of pace. Another thing I was thinking about was the supporting characters. I think the character that left the strongest impression on me was probably the king himself. Because I love the fact how in the opening of the show, he looked kinda villainous, like he was gonna be at odds with Kain throughout the show. Almost like maybe Team Rocket level, like Pokemon Team Rocket. Like Monster of the Week kind of thing. But it turns out the king is actually really supportive of Kain, even after he found out that Kain's abilities were crazy in stats. I especially love the moment where the king thought up the plan to find out who Kain really was by giving him an ancient book, which was actually a book written by the previous hero of the world, who was of Japanese descent. To which Kain was also from Japan before he was reincarnated, so when he picked up the book, naturally he was able to read it just fine. And upon revealing that he understood the book, that was when the king revealed to Kain that that book was not of this world and no one else could read it. And that kind of put Kain on the spot to really explain who he was. And upon explaining who he was, everyone else was actually kind of supportive. And upon Kain showing his stats to everyone, the king was like, should I just give my throne to you? I thought that was pretty humbling of the king right there, knowing that there's someone stronger than him, but he's more than happy to delegate his position to them. So I kind of like that character of his in that sense. Another character I found amusing was it was only revealed like near the end of the show. It was actually the Prince of Darkness. I can't remember his full name though, or his name. I just remember his position. Like when Kain summoned during class a Demon King, and he was about to send the Demon King back because he's just too powerful to have around. So when the Demon King showed up from Kain's summoning circle, he had this menacing aura about him. And then when Kain threatened to send him back and just proceed to give an air slash with his sword, Demon King immediately broke character and said that he would happily be in a contract with Kain. That was a pretty amusing moment. It's kind of like Megumin almost, putting on an act. But it's also nice to see how much of a great ally that Demon King was during the final battle in the anime. Or like I'm pretty sure it's the final, like the monster horde in the anime. Like he even summoned his subordinates to assist us too. I also love the fact that all the human characters that Kain interacted with saw these demons helping them with the battle, and they immediately knew right then and there that Kain had a hand in summoning them. Which I thought was pretty cool. Like, all the characters just expect this from Kain going forwards. One of the recurring gags in the show I liked was the constant, was actually from the king and the other nobles' reactions to Kain's overwhelming power. Because whenever Kain does something crazy or overpowered, they're always the first ones to react. As they're always telling Kain to hold back for the world's sake. So whenever something crazy happens in the world, they just know Kain had a hand in it or was the issue. So even when Kain's not in the room, they're like, oh, it's Kain again. Yeah, just seeing all the characters' reactions as the running gag towards Kain's exploits. To the point that they're not even surprised anymore. It was a pretty fun comedy bit, I might say. Oh, another thought I had was whether a moment I thought, okay, that was way too overpowered. But honestly, I think that's this show's flair, really. It's part of the comedy, the fact that a character is so overwhelmingly overpowered that you're just not surprised anymore. I can't pinpoint a particular moment where maybe that's a bit too excessive. Yeah, not off the top of my head anyway, so I don't really have many qualms in terms of maybe a situation being solved by something that was way too overpowered that it needed to be. I kind of like the show for what it is. Now, if I were in Kain's position, in terms of what part of his life I would look forward to the most or dread the most, I think I would dread like the dealing with royalty and nobility. I don't really do well in like those party-like scenarios. Or formal parties anyways. Yeah, that I would dread, like the aristocrat side of things. But I would definitely look forward to the adventure side of things though. I mean, who wouldn't? And if I were in his position, I probably wouldn't hide my powers. Mainly because if there was anyone that would take issue, well, guess who's overpowered? I'll be like Homelander or something. Or maybe a nicer Homelander. Yeah, won't go too extreme. But then again, I don't know if I would be blessed anyways if I used that powers in such a way. Or if I had the intent to use the powers in such a way. So in terms of unique elements I liked from this show, I enjoyed the aspect that there was a Isekai protagonist before Kain came into the world, who wound up sealing a demon king or an evil god before Kain came over 300 years later. It was nice, a little bit of world building that, and I also love the moment where Kain transports to another world again to meet this former protagonist in a world that is much stronger than the current one, or the one that Kain just teleported to, which became a nice little training arc, which I found pretty fun to see. I especially loved the moment where the former protagonist revealed to Kain that his companions was actually Kain's parents, where despite being in a new world, they never stopped trying to find a way to get back to Kain. Which is kinda nice to hear, because before Kain got reincarnated as an aristocrat, he didn't have anyone with him in this world, so he didn't mind dying right then and there, after dying to save two people. So seeing Kain reacting to the news that his parents were in another world all along, and not only that, that they perished against the evil god trying to seal it. It was nice to see Kain regain a resolve to use his powers for something other than quote-unquote for fun. Then again, I'm probably misremembering a lot of things wrong, because I don't know if I can't remember if Kain uses powers for fun or not, but it's just something to think about. I also liked how it's going to get confusing talking about worlds within worlds. I'm talking about the world where Kain teleported to meet the previous hero, so it's another world entirely. A third world, if you will. Yeah, in this world, time moves slower compared to the Kain second world, or the aristocrat world. So you get to see Kain grow up as well, a bit. Because during the opening, I was wondering who this silver-haired character was, who hasn't made an appearance yet. So it's nice to get some answers for that one through what happened in that little arc when Kain was trapped in another world again. But yeah, probably made no sense there. Oh well. Yeah, those are all my thoughts for the Aristocrat's Otherworldly adventure. If you guys have any thoughts you'd like to share as well, be sure to leave them down in the comments below. And if you guys enjoyed this video here, be sure to hit like and subscribe as per usual. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.